Hi everyone, I'm Scott Schneider. This is Stereo Niche. And this week I want to revisit that conversation about bringing stereo into the home theater room. All right, so this week I thought we'd revisit that discussion I started some time ago about stereo back into the home theater room, and how for many years stereo was sort of eclipsed by home theater and sort of where things are today. But before I get there, I wanted to cover a couple of topics. One of those is a new idea that someone brought up and suggested about a future video. And that would be videos of some things that you may have that are a bit odd or a bit rare that you think are cool. And send me a picture of those and I can share them in a future video. So maybe an unusual turntable, or maybe extremely rare tube unit that was only made for a few years and then the company went away. Anything that you think is sort of something you might not see very often. Send me a picture of that and I'll create a separate video about that. If I can get enough of them, I'll create a whole video around it and we'll talk through, say, the oddballs of audio, something like that. The other thing is I wanted to remind everyone that if you would like me to showcase your system in a future video, send me some pictures of your system. It could be your current system or it can be a prior system as you sort of evolved. And include a bit of an overview with those pictures about the stage of the system, some comments about some of the pieces, identify them, and I'll incorporate that into a future video as well. Done quite a few so far. Thank you for those who have sent them in, and looking forward to seeing some of the other systems from viewers as we go forward. One more thing I wanted to mention too, and that is something I've been putting together slowly. But a couple of things, if you've got some brochures of any gear, I'd like to try and start incorporating that. I'm working on a future website and in the process of doing that. So if you've got any brochures or material about vintage audio gear, it'd be great if you could digitize it, but I understand that can be a challenge. So we'll see about taking a picture with a phone. That might be the easiest way to go if you can sort of get it fairly straight. But I'd like to try to get this media and start putting it together and getting ready to share that so everybody can take advantage and see it and utilize it. I may incorporate it into a video, but I'd also like to put it on the website so that everybody can see it and pull it down and share it. The other thing is your experience around. I'm also putting together a list of repair shops around the country. That includes Canada, by the way. We got a lot of folks up in Canada that watch. If you've gotten or know some reputable repair places that you can recommend, email those to me. That would be great. I'm going to also include that as well as a section on the website, and try so people can find where to get our gear fixed. That's probably the second hardest thing to do, but after finding some gear, is finding a good tech that can actually work on it. So I'd like to put a list together that folks can access and keep up with repair shops in their area. So maybe we'll call it a stereo niche list or something. I don't know yet. A Scott list. I don't know. We'll come up with something catchy. But something like that to benefit the community, and so we can all keep up with where to get our gear fixed. Well, one more thing, as Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, often said, I ran across an interesting gadget device. I don't ever talk about new stuff because I don't I use it. I'm a vintage guy, but on occasion, I do see some cool stuff, and I don't get any commission off this. I'm not. They didn't reach out to me. Although I have to tell you, I get all kinds of people reaching out for all sorts of oddball things, unrelated to audio, to promote their wares. But not something I would envision at some point, unless I can incorporate it into my vintage audio. But In any case, this is a cassette player that has a built-in speaker. It's called It's Real, and it is. The interesting thing about it is that it comes with a cassette, and this cassette, once you put it into the cassette player, turns it into a Bluetooth device, so you can connect to it via Bluetooth. But it's the cassette that does that, so you can actually take that cassette out and then put it into any other cassette deck and enable that as Bluetooth. So it's a Bluetooth, that what we might think of as a dongle, at some point, but this uses a cassette mechanism to turn any cassette deck into Bluetooth enabled. Now the device is actually a cassette player. You can put actual cassettes in there and it will play with its built-in speakers. But that's a very interesting cassette Bluetooth device. Reminds me of early on when we were bringing audio into our car stereos. There were the wired cassettes that you plugged in and a wire came out and you could plug that into your phone. Kind of reminds me of that. But they're not inexpensive. I think they're fairly pricey. But I'll give you the link and I'll show you a picture of it. But it's a translucent cassette deck and it's pretty cool looking. But again, more probably of a novelty. So the main section of this video was to go back and revisit that conversation I had a couple of months ago about where home entertainment evolved from and where we might be headed. But I wanted to sort of circle back and focus on, for a moment, how I thought we could reintroduce stereo back into our living rooms again, because I also had to sort of jettison my stereo for a good while. I had my own room, of course, but most of us don't, I don't believe, and so it was kind of tough to negotiate with the significant other about getting some more gear into the living room to play stereo, play my music again. And so for me, the introduction of a soundbar helped me do that. For quite some time, I had a surround sound receiver in here, and I had some other speakers, small satellites, as well as surround speakers. And for my wife, that was enough gear. She didn't want to see any more gear. Now I have to say that for many years, she allowed me to have a lot of speakers, and I had 3 sets of speakers and all kind of stuff. But at some point after we redecorated, things changed and we wanted a different look. So I had to minimize things quite a bit. And because we do watch movies on occasion, it was necessary to have surround sound. And so I had to sort of go without a stereo here. Now, again, I had my own room, so that was okay. But I still wanted to bring it back into the main area, the main family room. So I introduced a sound bar, this one is from Polk. I can't remember, I think the model number, maybe an S2, I might get that wrong, but it's been a few months now. But this sound bar has a separate wireless sub across the room, and it works out great. Everyone in the house loves it. No one's missed the surround sound. The main thing, which I think most people argue, is that you hear the dialogue very well. It throws enough of a range for a little bit of surround to make it interesting. Certainly not a replacement for true surround sound when you have actual physical speakers around the room. It's not at that level, but my wife and my daughters don't care, honestly. So, so it's a bit of a trade-off. I was able to remove some speakers and then bring in some larger speakers to replace them, and everyone's happy. So in my setup here, I have the small sound bar, which is, it's not very tall. So in this case, unless you're really looking for it, you almost don't see it. And right now I have this Marantz receiver in here. This is my 2330. I have an Apple TV hooked in through my TV. The TV is then hooked into the sound bar, and it connected very easily through eARC, and didn't have any issue, and it connected, and I was off to the races. and I can't say that I'm really missing the other speakers. Now, I'll tell you, in our case, we don't watch a lot of television anymore. We watch movies primarily. We have a movie night, and we might be able to get that in once a week. We're very busy. We're on the go quite a bit. But I do listen to a lot more music in the house than I did when it was dedicated to surround sound. So for me, great benefit in the trade-off. I've much preferred this setup over, I'll say, a reduction in my surround sound experience. And I think many folks would prefer to do that and benefit from being able to reintroduce the stereo back into the room again. Compromises, of course, that's what marriage and relationships are all about. If you're single, then have at it. You can do anything you want. But for the rest of us that need to negotiate things, this worked out very well. And this is what I think, and this was my point in the last video, that with the advent of sound bars, we can sort of contract a bit and then reintroduce stereo back into our living rooms, where in a lot of cases our stereo systems had been replaced many years ago by the big home theater setups. So for me anyway, and I think quite a few others, this is a way to bring stereo back to the forefront and for us to enjoy our music back the way it used to be, before the home theater came to take over our living rooms, in a way. So in any case, this is why I wanted to come back. Now, I also wanted to revisit the premise of my last video a bit and clarify some of the points there. Some folks, I may have not done a great job in delivering what I was trying to do as far as the messaging on where I think things are going. There is still an evolution of the home entertainment experience. I believe that is going to be some sort of virtual reality. I talked in the last video primarily about the Apple Vision Pro because I had just experienced it, but I don't think that the Apple Vision Pro is it in and of itself. I think it's just a stepping stone of where it's headed. It will be some sort of group immersive experience, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it'll be a visor because, as many have pointed out, you don't get a group experience that way. What I think it might be is maybe perhaps some sort of several screens that maybe connect and wrap around the room. Maybe it's a screen and some sort of projector that projects onto a curved screen, and we sort of sit almost in the middle of it to give us that immersion. Can't say, but I'm sure that there are lots of technical folks working on that next big thing that will take over our rooms, or at least half our room, and it will be that immersive experience in a way that we've not experienced before, and it will take over as far as what we consider the primary visual aspect of our home entertainment. So I think that's where to go. I haven't seen it, I don't know, but when I think further ahead on where things are going, I believe that for mass adoption, it'll be something sort of like that. Well, I think that'll do it for this week. Covered it quite a bit. Send me in those viewer systems. Let me know if you got any unique items that kind of cool, and give me something about those. Let me know about repair shops. If there's any repair shops you are familiar with, send those in, please. Brochures, information on vintage audio gear. Love to see that stuff. You got my email address here at the end. Send those in, and let me know your experience with sound bars and incorporating stereo back into your entertainment room. So I appreciate you guys dialing in this week and watching. If you want to keep up on videos, hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you can, and we'll see you next time.